What's up guys, it's Ian here back with another video, and today I'm here to bring you a chest and tricep workout with no equipment needed. These are going to be 6 different exercises that you can perform at home with no equipment. We're gonna start off with the basic push-up. I'm going to perform 20 repetitions and I'm going to pause for 1 second each time that my chest touches the ground. So these are going to be full range of motion push-ups. If I was trying to do as many push-ups as possible, I'd probably just go to about 90 degrees since we're not necessarily just going for quantity and we want these to be productive repetitions. I think by pausing with your chest on the ground, you're gonna get a lot more chest activation when you perform the push-ups like this. This entire workout from start to end should take about 30 minutes. We're going to perform about 10 working sets worth of the main compound exercises with about 1 minute of rest separating each of them. And then at the end, I'm going to perform 5 sets of the tuck planche hold to fulfill my steady state cycle requirements. If you want to learn more about steady state cycles, scroll down a little bit and watch some of my gymnastics rings workout videos, and I explain what steady state cycles are and how to implement them into your training while I'm performing the tuck planche and tuck lever variations. If any of you are still having trouble performing the basic push-up, go ahead and scroll down through my videos a bit and you'll find a video titled How to Accomplish Your First Push-Up. This video provides you 2 progressions that I think are going to really help you accomplish your first push-up. If you're able to perform a lot of push-ups, this next exercise is going to be the archer push-up. I'm going to perform 5 repetitions on each arm. I'll show you how it's done. This exercise is going to place a lot more stress onto one side of your body and help prepare you for the one-armed push-up. When performing the archer push-up, it's important for that non-working arm to stay straight and keep the fingers pointed away from you. I think because of this fingers pointed away hand configuration, it makes the most sense to perform all of your repetitions on one side at a time and then switch to the other side. That way you're not forced to change your hand position between each repetition. You can just set up your hand position and perform all of your repetitions in that configuration and then switch to the second side. Just finished up those archer push-ups. Now it's time for these handstand push-ups. Go ahead and give yourself at least a minute of rest between the last set of archer push-ups and your first set of handstand push-ups, and also make sure you're drinking water. When you're setting up your handstand push-ups, be aware that facing towards the wall and kind of walking up the wall is going to require a bit more strength and energy, whereas facing away from the wall and kicking up into the handstand is going to be more energy conserving, but it requires a bit more finesse and technique, and you also need considerably more space. I don't really have enough space between the 2 walls over there, so that's why I crawl up the wall. If I was to do this exercise somewhere else where I had a bit more runway to both kick up into the handstand and to kick out of it without worrying about crashing into the opposite wall, then I might perform the handstand push-ups facing away from the wall. That's just a bit of explanation of why I'm always doing the push-ups facing the wall. Handstand push-ups can be pretty strenuous, so feel free to rest a little longer than a minute between each of these sets. You can make up that time with shorter rest times on a different exercise. On exercises that I consider to be harder, I usually like to rest a little longer, somewhere in that 2 to 5 minute range. Today, probably going to be about 1.5 to 2 minutes of rest between each set. That second set was pretty hard. Pray for me. You know, if you're seeing this video post-production, then I guess you know I'm okay. I might edit the videos so it looks like the entire workout's really short, but I am resting between each of these sets so that I'm able to push harder during the set. A fitness influencer I follow once was joking about how if aliens or someone else was watching humans exercise, they would actually refer to it as sitting and intermittently exercising, because honestly most of the time during our workouts we're actually resting, and each set probably just represents about 10 to 30 seconds of actual work, and we are really spending about 3/4 of the time resting. Another tip on these handstand push-ups is that if you actually look at the floor, you can get a little bit more range of motion. Make sure you go down slowly and stop right before your nose touches the ground, and that's going to really increase the range of motion. I also feel like it helps me maintain a more active upper back position by pulling that head back and really lifting the head. If you're to just let the head hang limp or relaxed, I feel like the muscles in your upper back may not be as active, and also it shortens the range of motion a lot. If I was to perform the handstand push-up and just go until the top of my head touches the ground, I can only go this far, but if I pull the head back, you can get a couple inches more range of motion. Make sure you're regulating your breathing on this exercise. I treat the breath cycling on the handstand push-up kind of like a heavy overhead press. I like to cycle my breath at the top of the range of motion. However you scale the wall, that means that you're going to cycle your breath with your arm extended. Exhale as I'm pushing. At the top, I'm going to fully exhale and then inhale a big breath, brace, lower, and then start to exhale as I push myself up, and repeat that process for however many repetitions you plan on performing. If you have a hard time performing the handstand push-up, I would go ahead and perform the pike push-up instead. When you're performing the pike push-ups, remember to keep your legs straight when you're setting it up and try to get your hips as close to over the shoulders and hands as possible. If your hamstring and back flexibility is somewhat limited, you might not be able to get your hips directly over your shoulders and hands at first, but over time, just walk your hands closer to your feet while keeping the legs straight, and eventually you will be able to get your hips centered over your shoulders and hands. Even if you're able to perform handstand push-ups, the pike push-ups still represent a good way of accumulating more training volume in a similar position to the handstand push-up. If you're not able to get so many repetitions on the handstand push-up, this exercise can represent a good substitution for overhead pressing movements that you might be missing from your normal lifting routine. So if you're unable to perform handstand push-ups, or you just can't perform very many of them, definitely consider adding in these pike push-ups to your training routine. The next exercise in this no equipment workout is going to be the pseudo planche push-up. When you're setting up for the pseudo planche push-up, I recommend starting out the exercise from a planche lean position with your feet up against a wall. You want to lean forward about as far as you feel comfortable in the planche lean, and then tense your abs and your glutes to force your body into a straight line, and then lower your body until your elbows are about 90 degrees. Remember to focus on protracting the shoulders and maintaining that hollow body position throughout this exercise. Putting your feet up against the wall is going to ensure that you remain in the planche lean position in the finish position of this exercise. If you're not yet used to this exercise and you don't have your feet against the wall, I've found that your body tends to push itself into the finish position of a regular push-up due to that position being much less stressful than the planche lean finish position. It's a good idea to record these repetitions from the side, so that way you can really keep a close eye on your technique and make sure that you're executing these repetitions cleanly. If you don't yet have enough wrist mobility to have your fingers pointing straight forward, you can turn your hands out a little bit to have your thumbs pointing straight forward, and your fingers will go diagonally to the sides. Alternately, you can flip your hands over and have your fingers point towards your toes. While the fingers pointed towards the toes hand position might make this exercise easier on the wrists, it will also make this exercise more difficult on your biceps and front delts. So what I would recommend is, if you want to change your hand position on the pseudo planche push-up, go ahead and give yourself a few repetitions of the planche lean with the new hand position, and then once you feel comfortable with that new hand position, then go ahead and try out the pseudo planche push-up with that new hand position. When I first started performing this exercise, the most common errors that I noticed were sagging at the midsection to take the stress off the upper body, and allowing the feet to float backwards and finishing in a regular push-up position. For the first several workouts that you start learning this exercise, I really recommend putting your feet up against a wall, and that's going to prevent you from sliding into a normal push-up position on the finish of this exercise, and it's going to keep you in that planche lean at the top of each repetition. If you own parallettes, I would go ahead and use them for some of these exercises. I just wanted to demonstrate every exercise in this workout and how I would set them up without any equipment, so that way any of my viewers who don't have equipment will know how you would set up these exercises without access to parallettes or other items. If you've made it this far in the video, I can tell that you have a lot of dedication and you're a true fan, and you're also smart and very good looking. Let's wrap this workout up. We're gonna perform tuck planche on the floor, no parallettes, the steady state cycle, 5 sets of 12. Let's see if I can do it. It's been a while since I did this exercise without parallettes. If having the fingers facing forward is a little too stressful for you, consider having your fingers facing out to the sides if you don't have access to parallettes. Of course, you're gonna be able to sustain higher volumes of planche training if you do invest in those parallettes. I would definitely recommend it. Just finished those tuck planche holds for the steady state cycles. My eyes look red from the stress, but I made it through. I'm gonna bring you a bonus exercise. So I guess today's workout is 7 exercises if you include the pike push-up, although that was just briefly covered. That is a useful exercise to add into your arsenal for more volume in a handstand push-up position if you're not able to perform very many repetitions of the actual handstand push-up. This 7th bonus exercise is going to be the bodyweight tricep extension. To perform it, we're going to get into a push-up position, then walk our hands a couple inches forward away from the feet, try to maintain a straight line body position, and then we're going to lower the body until the elbows touch the ground. Try not to hike up at the hips, try to keep the body straight, and you should feel this exercise a lot in the triceps. If you're not warmed up, this exercise might be a little bit hard on the elbows, so I would would put this exercise somewhere in the middle to the end of your workout once you're already sufficiently warmed up. If you try this exercise as the first movement of the day, it might not be too comfortable, but I think once you're already warmed up, it's a perfectly safe exercise to perform. It's worth noting that when performing the bodyweight tricep extension, walking the hands away from the feet makes this exercise easier. If you put your hands right under your shoulders, it'll be considerably more difficult because your triceps have to move your body weight through a larger range of motion, and they're starting from a more bent elbow position. That concludes today's workout. Thank you for coming in, taking the time out of your day to watch this workout. Hopefully you learned something useful. If you did, share it with somebody, leave a like or a comment down below on what you'd like to see in the next video.